Welcome to episode 7, released on January 7th, because everybody will be looking for Stranger Things stuff, and here it is. Stranger Things episode, I don't know, what is it supposed to be? 8, 9? 9? Episode 9? Stranger Things episode 9, season 5. This is what people are going to be looking for, and you have to be smart, okay? Because here it is. I can tell you for a fact, period. All right. Like, out of the entire show, uh, this is just my general opinion. A lot of things happened over the course of Stranger Things, and I only watched a couple episodes of season 1, and I watched most of the ending of season 5. So, uh, I am no expert on Stranger Things, but I have a problem with Netflix writing, and I have a problem with how it's put out there and what's put out there. And basically, the idea is that I'm not really a big fan of Netflix things. I do watch a couple, like Klaus, or Claus, or how is it Klaus? I don't know. Whatever it is, the animated Christmas movie they make, that was wonderful. I loved it. That was great. You know, is it the top of my list to watch that in the row of magical, I don't know, Christmas movies, Santa Claus, those things? Yes, it's in the list. I watch it. Yes. Do I wish I had a DVD copy of it? Sure. Blu-ray, whatever you want. I don't care. As long as I had a copy of it physically, so I didn't have to like pay for Netflix every year, that'd be great. Now, do I feel like everything that I'm doing uh podcast wise is super important? No. But I can tell you that I don't think I really enjoyed Stranger Things. I can tell you that it didn't pull me in. Uh the plot itself was interesting. The overall 80s themed Montauk project, whatever you want to call it, great. But did I think that they had any direction? Uh, they definitely had something in season 1. Like, I feel like there was definitely like an arrow, a compass. Like, you had something there, whatever was going on. From the few episodes that I saw, obviously people like it. Obviously, it was a big draw to the community. Now, do I think there's some giant conformity gate secret? Like, they're definitely making a podcast, or I don't know, like a ninth episode. No, I don't personally think so. And I could be wrong. The day I post this, maybe everybody's looking at Netflix and Stranger Things and they're trying to figure it out. But honestly, I can say I've found the episode right now, and the episode title is I don't whether there's an episode or not, I honestly don't care because I don't understand the character arcs they were going for. Like, from my perspective as someone who writes for things, I found it confusing because a couple characters say like standard things in writing that you would just assume, okay, this character said this, so then this is probably going to happen. Okay? Some scenes were way too long, and I don't know what it is about the actual storytelling aspect or the visual. Like, there were a lot of shots of it, like faces. There's a Spider Man effect, and it happens in Spider Man 3. Okay? Spider Man 3, and I think actually Spider Man 2 has a little bit of it too. One of the movies, there's like a lot of screaming and slow motion, and it's just like Spider-Man's flipping around, and I just don't like the like exaggerated like, oh, like he's screaming danger, which I always thought was really stupid in Spider-Man. But then when characters are reacting to a situation or there's a reaction to something large happening, okay? I don't need 40 minutes of each individual character's face nodding in approval or screaming in horror, or I definitely don't need that. It's not necessary. You could have saved on airtime, you could have saved on filming. Like, I'm sure it was just slowed down, but whoever edited that, I don't know how you didn't see. If they did, Netflix, I don't know why you put it up. Okay? I feel like a lot of people, a lot of the problems that people had, a lot of the cast members seemed to nicely not mention, but probably mentioned in private. And you know what? I think that good for you guys. I think the cast deserves a well deserved bow out. I'm not saying their acting's bad. I'm not saying the story didn't end the way it was supposed to. I'm just saying that if you look at the arc of the characters, did the story really go from point A to point B and then get you all the way to Z? I don't know, like like are we going through the whole alphabet or are we just getting to A, B and C? Like I don't really know what the goal was of the last episode because I feel like Vecna had a very large purpose and then he was all of a sudden gone instantly. Now, if there's some massive like congratulations, you wrote another story or they're like unveiling their MCU somehow, like there's something larger coming. Okay, sure. Am I going to watch it? No, cuz honestly, it shouldn't take you 5 seasons to end that. I don't know. It just didn't end the way that I would particularly care for it to end. And I'm sure if I wrote my cartoon and if I'm writing my cartoon and I post my 5 seasons, people might not like something about my show and they'll say the same thing. So, I'm trying not to be too harsh because I come from a point of view that I really just didn't like Stranger Things. But what I did think was good was that the I think that the stretch out of time, just their age growing and, like going through everything, I'm glad that the show's over. And not just because I didn't like the show, but just because I think it's just time to move on. Like, even if there is a spinoff, let's give the spinoff a chance. Let's give anything else a chance because I think that the story, I think the reason, if this is the last episode, if season 8, or not season 8, season 5, episode 8, if season 5, episode 8 comes around and it's like, we didn't have a secret episode. That really was the end. If that's what I think it is, and I think that's what it is, I personally think that Stranger Things ended that way and everybody's happy and, people are pointing out silly things like the people are staring in the background of the ring scene and I'm like that, I get what you're saying. It's kind of a stretch in my head because I feel like they're not really looking. The fall leaves, I don't really fall leaves, sure. Maybe. But, you know, I I don't care that much to look too deeply into it. I don't care that much to dig down and if I'm here and I post this and there's another episode, congratulations. I hope everybody gets what they wanted. I hope that I can do a episode to say that it was much better, you know? Because I'm the kind of person that when I don't like a show, what I'll do is I'll watch the first episode of the first season and then I will go and I'll be like, okay, I watched that again. I didn't actually watch the first one again because I just felt like I remembered it enough. But then I will watch, if you're lucky, the entire last season. And I know how that sounds. Why would you want to ruin or skip the middle pieces? Well, because it took so long to get to the point that they actually were in Stranger Things season 5. That's why. Uh like I started watching Supergirl on the CW and then I just felt like the writing wasn't as good as like The Flash. So then I was like, okay, well, we're not going to watch anymore because I don't think it's great. And they weren't even part of the same universe at the same time. So eventually they got to a point where if you watch Supergirl and any of the CW shows, they combined forces basically a lot. There were a lot of like, we're all together. Here we are. The Arrow, Flash, everyone. Those were cool. Like the little mini Justice League moments, if you want to. I don't know what you would call them. I'm sure there's different names for each type of team or whoever's on each whatever. The idea is just nice that I didn't have to watch Supergirl But then I was like, maybe I should try and watch it. I couldn't do, I really couldn't do the Supergirl series again after season two. Like, I basically watched how they combined it and then I stopped. And then I never went back because I couldn't, I just couldn't see Supergirl as any more than like an add in to the already Justice League like center. So occasionally they did something that I would never want to do in a series either. They would just like throw in a random character that you just don't know something. Like it's just because the story evolved one way, so they're like, we'll just throw this guy in, and then they can like meet him, and then maybe it'll get them to watch the show. It did make me watch an episode or two because I was trying to figure out some things, but I did not watch the entire season. It did not pull me in. Like even the episodes I watched, I was like, no, no, Supergirl, no, 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 could not do it. And that's kind of where I was with Stranger Things, except the nice thing is, Stranger Things didn't really leave me like wanting to go watch a season because I didn't understand something. It was pretty much explained, which I don't know if that's just because of the new writing standard where you have to like know everything because people are going to be on their phones like and not paying attention. That whole like if you're scrolling, you don't need to watch. You'll just hear everything going on. Okay, that's fine. At that point, I kind of feel like we should just go back to radio shows, but okay, sure. Or just a podcast. I don't know. Podcast episodes. Like people would just be listening to radio just like in the 40s or 30s or whenever they did little radio television shows. So I I think that Stranger Things, I don't know, a lot of the stuff seemed like I was watching Avengers Endgame at one point. A lot of it seemed like Harry Potter. Like it just seemed like weird. Like let's pull from this idea, and I kind of questioned whether AI had any hand in the writing because of the way they kind of like just talk about things. Like I don't know if it was I don't know I really don't know what the the flow was for season 5. I think that was confusing and maybe it's cuz I didn't watch everything, but looking at it from a writing perspective, if you look at generally you can look at an arc of a character and then you kind of look at like the end of what they say. So like there was a point where, you know, Joyce was saying a lot of stuff that I'm pretty sure that Joyce was supposed to die. Because, like, you gotta remember, she's just a mom in the middle of this abyss thing. And she kept saying things like, I will always be here for you, and this and that. And I was like, I feel like that you're. She was just saying things that maybe they didn't realize it. Maybe they didn't see the opening. I think she should have ended up dying, essentially. And then Will should have just basically, that should have been his, like, I'm angry, I'm overpowered moment. Like, here's his Superman, you know, flying to Vecna. Maybe 11 struggles to fight him at first. And then he flies in through the freaking side of the meat spider. But does that mean that, you know, that's what's gonna happen? No, it's not my series. I can't dictate that. He flies through the meat spider. He destroys everything. Maybe he goes a little mad with power. Like and then 11 has to save him because now he's, you know, tempted by the meat spider. Whatever the heck that thing was. There were no demigorgons or whatever the heck demo dogs, whatever you call those things. The meat human with the flower face. It's just like yeah, there were a lot of issues that I think needed to be addressed. And if they didn't have another episode, you know, it's a shame because people waited so long for this thing to actually get out. But also the actors I think really put their heart and soul into the physical aspect of the show. Plus it really like you got to figure they got Harry Pottered. They got their childhood essentially absorbed. And I'm sure for a mildly, you know, good reason, they'll be like, oh, it was a good, like, you'll never go down a road and probably say, like, oh, we made all this money. It was a, it was a bad choice. They have money. They've got money from Netflix. I'm sure they got paid more for this season. Is it 100% their fault that it went this way? No, no, it's not. They were doing what they're told. So, you know, I'm sure these actors at this point just want to be like, we're not under contract. We can move on. We can go do anything else. Poor Millie Bobby Brown. She's just, she's stuck. She's stuck in like Stranger Things land. Uh, I saw a lot of interviews with different people from Stranger Things on Jimmy Fallon, and from what I gauge, it just seems like you can't release info, but also people are like, they seem kind of nervous about what occurred in the show. So, I mean, I really don't think there's another episode. And again, I'm going to post this on the 7th, and, get a little bit of a wave of maybe people searching for Stranger Things stuff. And hopefully, it comes down to everybody realizes that, writing's a risk as it is. I don't think that they should be ridiculed forever. I think that they were just done with the story. I think that it took too long for production. I think COVID pushed a lot of things back. I think Stranger Things would have been better if they could have just flowed with the story and finished when they wanted to finish originally. But uh, even Marvel suffered from COVID and things like that. So, like, I'm gonna give them a pass. But I do feel like when I originally watched the series, this is how I felt the show would end. And that's really the point. That I looked at it and I simply said, it's just not going to be good. And I really hope they prove me wrong on the 7th, but I don't know. So far, sadly, I just, I couldn't be pulled in. So if you feel like it was better and you definitely have favorite moments, I'd love to hear them. If not, that's fine too. Uh, everybody's welcome to their opinion, but I do thank you for listening to my sweet, sweet podcast. And if you think it was good and you want to follow me, go for it. If you think I'm like Stranger Things and it's not going to go anywhere, then go for it. I don't, I'm just doing this because why the heck not? Because I have a dream of animating things, and anyone who can listen to my podcast, I appreciate it. Anyone who shares my podcast, I really appreciate it. If you listen to this 2 or 3 times just cuz, I get watch time, and maybe someday YouTube will pay me and we'll be up there and I'll be able to fund my cartoon. But until then, I'm just speaking into a mic, simply.